So once again, this guy Truth Irish, he fails. He doesn't know the etymology of words. He doesn't know the meaning of words. Okay, the word paradox has nothing whatsoever to do with bulls or L or Saturn.
That's some funny shit. You proved once again, Dumbmite, that you're nothing but a blithering fool. So the reason that the word paradox has the word ox in it, because it really does mean the two oxes. So let's look up paradox in the Oxford English Dictionary. A seemingly absurd or contradictory statement or proposition which, when investigated, may prove to be well founded or true. So the first part of the word is para, which means beside, the side of, or aside from, or beyond. So actually, the word para really means to. In order for something to be beside, or beyond, or aside, it has to be aside or beside something, which is a, and beside is b, or the two. So para means two, like a pair, which is a couple. Exactly like paranormal. In order for something to be paranormal, which is abnormal, you have to have the normal. So side A and side B. And this dualistic principle of the two realms is the true essence of the root meaning of paradox. And this dualistic paradigm is really the foundation of philosophy, which is the philos and the sophia, which really means the love of wisdom. And Sophia is the goddess of wisdom or justice, which is why our symbol for justice is the goddess Sophia, which is exactly why she holds the symbol of the scale of justice, which is a dualistic principle or a paradox of side A and side B, the two. So a paradox is circular reasoning, meaning to go round and round, a logical statement that leads to a contradiction or a situation which, if true, defies logic or reason. So it's a play on words, faulty, so it cannot be altogether entirely true. So a paradox can be used interchangeably with contradiction. And of course, these philosophical paradoxes come to us from ancient Greece, from philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and Pythagoras. So let's take a look at the paradox or circular reasoning of philosophy in the Bible, when David says every man is a liar. So is David telling the truth? Then David is a liar himself, which means the statement is false, meaning that every man is not a liar. And in philosophy, this is known as the liar paradox. And the example I just gave you comes from the book of Psalms. And I told you before that the Psalms means the lyre or the lyre, and the bull, which I'll explain a little bit later in detail. And the book of Psalms and the Bible in general are all talking about parables. And this paradox of truth and lies is really just a form of bullshitting. So now let's get down to the deeper understanding of paradox, the para and the doxa. So we know what para means, but let's look into the word dox or doxa. So where the para means contrary to, the doxa means the opinion from the dokeen, to appear, seem, or think, or the belief. So the doxa is the contrast between certainty and probability, the social and cultural dimension, enslaved to the opinions of the social world. So Aristotle said that the doxa is the opinion or the belief which contrasts the episteme, which is certainty or truth. So Aristotle says that doxa is true in some cases but false in others. And Plato said where episteme means knowledge, as in justified true belief, in contrast to doxa, which means the common belief or the common opinion. So the doxa was manipulated by the sophists to persuade the people with rhetoric. It was a tool used to form an argument. So doxa is defined as the philosopher's sin, where Plato opposed knowledge to doxa, which led to opposition of error and truth. So rhetoric is the art of discourse in an argument. It's used to persuade, and discourse means running to and from. In other words, it means the art of bullshitting. So now let's take a deeper philosophical look into the very essence of the word doxa. So you see, doxa in the Bible is used repeatedly to describe the Shekinah, which is the glory of God. So the Shekinah is the dwelling place or the realm of God, the glory of God, the connection of God's realm into our realm, which of course are the two realms, which is the paradox. So you see, the very word doxa really means the glory, and the glory means God, and God means El, who is the God of the Bible, and El means the ox, which is the bull god of the Bible. So the doxa is really talking about El, the bull god, or the ox. Thus the oxa, the doxa. Thus the doxa, or the ox in paradox, which is exactly why paradox means beyond belief, that which is unreal. They want you to believe because the believe is a lie. And the very word believe is a double word, which is a paradox, the bell and the eve, or the day and the night. Which is why we have the Bible, or the two realms of existence, because our world is always in a state of duality, which is the meaning behind God, or a deity, which means the two. And by the way, you'll notice in the Shekinah, or the glory of God, they have the menorah, which represents the outer realm of God's abode, the paradox from our dox, which is why the menorah is the shape of the horns of the bull. And of course, Min is the fertility moon god. So we have the Min of the bull, and then we have the golden sun, or the Ra, which is why it's the menorah. And the center, or the mid-El candle, is for the sun, or shamash, which is used to light all of the other candles. So anyway, this is why we have the Orthodox Church, which the ortho means straight, and the doxa means the belief, which directly means the right way to praise God. And like I said, God is the ox. So like I said, ortho means straight, and the ox were used to plow in a straight line. So now I'm going to show you some words that Jeff Binner of the Ancient Hebrew Research Center had to say about the bull god El and the ox, where he writes, El, which is God, consists of two pictographic letters, one being the Aleph and the other being the Lamed. So in other words, it's a double lettered word, which is why in the Canaanite and the Levant religion, El was known as two pillars, or the double L's. Now I'm quoting from Jeff Binner. The ancient Hebrews saw God as the ox in the yoke. When plowing a field, two oxen were placed in a yoke. The Hebrews saw God as the older, experienced ox, and they as the younger who learns from him. So the yoke is used to control the two bulls, or the Bibles. So the yoke is a metaphor or a euphemism for a joke, as in the yoke is on you, which means the joke is on you. In other words, you have been bullshitted. So you see, the ox are the fools. They are the slaves that have been fooled by the doxa or the belief. And that's why the sheeple are the cattle that are fooled into believing in religions that are used to control them. This is like a paradox or a parable or a paradigm of eyes wide shut, which implies that your eyes are wide open, yet they are shut closed. Because actually, you think you know, but actually, you know nothing, because you are an ignorant fool who thinks his eyes are open, but actually, they're closed shut. So, like the paradox, the paradigm deals with duality or the two realms. An example is the box paradigm. In other words, thinking outside of the box. Because those that think inside of the box are stuck in a paradigm or in a paradox. They become box heads. Box heads that are indoctrinated with what, why, and how to think. So really they have been indoctrinated. The indoctrination means to imbue with an idea or an opinion, which gives you the belief, which is the meaning of doxa. Imbue means to permeate or influence as if by dyeing, to infuse, ingrain, or inoculate, to stain an object completely. In other words, to brainwash completely, to produce a droid or one who is indoctrinated. And of course, religious indoctrination is the brainwashing and the mind control, the original sense of indoctrination, which is forcibly and coercively causing people to think and act. It's the process of imparting indoctrination by imparting doctrine from the authority figures in our society that produce the box, which produces the box head followers who are brainwashed with the indoctrination. And just to show you what I'm talking about, the very word box has the ox in the name. And of course, the box is also known as a cube, which once again is from the ox or the bos. The cube comes from the kybos. So the kybos is an ancient Greek word, and the ancient Greeks would throw 3 dice, and the highest possible roll was 666. So the dice throwing was known as gambling because they were the game bull. And of course today we just use the double dice. So the bull is the god or the most high, the chief, the superior, which is also known as an ox, which is also known as a bos. So the boss gives us our boss, which is our leader, who is the big angry bull, or the boss, the boss, who of course is the big bully. So we have the ox of the box, and then we have the bos of the kybos, or the cube, the kuba, or the kaaba, black stone, the cube. And you'll notice part of the definition means to turn, which is exactly why they turn and spin around the cube. And of course, we roll and spin and turn the cube when we gamble. And by the way, talking about the paradigm or the paradox of being indoctrinated with the box heads, the black Kaaba of Mecca, the cube or the kybos, the box of the ox, is placed upon our heads when we graduate from the indoctrination. So this is why we wear the black cube on our head, and of course it's called an Oxford cap. And this is why the Oxford cap has the tail on it, which is called the tassel of the bull god El. And then we have the symbolism of slaying or slaughtering the bull, decapitating the bull's head, which is why they still do it to this very day. And when you graduate, you symbolically throw your cap, which is your skull, into the air. Because now you have been properly indoctrinated into the enlightened ones, which is why you are called an alumni, which means you are now part of the Illuminati. So now you know why you get dressed up like the fool or the jester. So the kybos or the cube has 6 sides. And as it turns out, Saturn is the 6th planet, which is exactly why the 6th day of the week is named after the 6th planet, which is Saturn, Saturday. Now, 6 is sex in Latin, which of course is why Saturday, the 6th day, is the day that we go out looking for sex partners. And of course, more people get married on Saturn's day than any other day. And of course, all major sporting events and games are held on the day of Saturn, Saturday. And of course, Saturday is the week end, exactly like Saturnalia, which is Christmas time, the end of the year, which is the time of chaos. So, of course, Saturday is the day of chaos, the day that we all party, go crazy, drink, take drugs, and, of course, Saturday is the day that more people die than any other day. And of course, Saturn gives us the satyr, which gives us satire, which of course again is nothing but bullshit. And the satyr gives us our jesters, which is exactly why our actors, when they win the award, they win the Saturn Award. And we find the sexagram or the Star of David or the hexagram, the hex, on top of Saturn. So Cronus or Saturn L is the father god of time. And he is also known as the Grim Reaper, of course because he slays time. So Saturn is the father god of time and of the zodiac, which is also time. So like I said, the cube or the kybos means to bend or turn, as in Saturn, the father of time, the god of the zodiac. And of course, time is related to the magic cube, which is why you will find the magic cube of time in Hollywood movies. And the black monolith is also symbolic of the black cube, as is the golden Ark of the Covenant. It's the box. So when you take the time to look around, you will find the cube symbolism all around you. In fact, you will find the symbolism of the Illuminati black cube of death or the black cube of time throughout the world. And you'll notice that the movies always use it as some type of time cube. And of course, the black box or the black cube is always associated with evilness and death and the paradigm or the paradox.
Mrs. Lewis, I assume you received the box.
And of course, we have the evil jester or the jack in the box. then we have the box of Pandora that released all the evil in the world. And then we have the popular Rubik's Cube. And the Rubik's Cube is actually the cube of Saturn, because Saturn is the 3 by 3 magic square, or the 3 by 3 magic cube. And of course, the Kabbalah represents 33, as does the 33 levels of Freemasonry of the Scottish Rite.
Next word on his list was parable. He says parable equals a pair of two bulls. He said it equals a pair of bulls. It means two bulls. That is false. Because once again, parable, that's a Greek word. And Greek is an ancient language. And the word for bull in Greek is not bull. Okay? That's why this guy, Truthless Iris, he has no truth. He's the devil. Okay, we're back at EddieMonline.com. Let's check out the word parable. Early 14th century, saying or story in which something is expressed in terms of something else. From Old French parable, which is from the Latin parabola, comparison, which is from the Greek parabole. Like I already said, parable is a Greek word, okay? And the word for bull in Greek is not bull. It's a comparison, parable, literal, thrown beside from para, alongside plus bole. So parable consists of two words. Just like the word paradox, it has the word para in it, para, which means alongside in this case, plus bole, which throwing, casting, beam, ray, related to baleen, to throw. Comes from the word baleen, to throw. Okay.
Once again, I will prove that you are the novice fool and I am the master. Because without question, a parable means a pair of bulls. So again, the parable is a double word consisting of two syllables. And a parable has a double meaning, which means it's deceptive and misleading. So a parable is a short allegorical story. It's symbolic, it's rhetoric, it's metaphoric. It's a fake story that masks the real story. So a parable and an epilogue is a tool of rhetorical argument used to convince and persuade. In other words, it's a form of brainwashing. So a parable is a metaphor or a figure of speech. It falls in line with folk tales and fairy tales and, of course, fables, because a parable is nothing more than pure bullshit. And you'll notice when you say the word parable, you don't say parable, you say parable, because the para means the two, like we discussed before, the beside or aside of, the two or the pair. So as I stated earlier, the suffix of ble or able, which is pronounced bull, represents the bull, which is why we don't say blee. The ble is an anagram for bull, which gives the root word strength and ability, which is able. So this is exactly why we do not phonetically pronounce the word as parably. We pronounce it phonetically as parable, because it represents the two bulls or the pair of bulls.
From Old French parable, which is from the Latin parabola, comparison, which is from the Greek parabole. Like I already said, parable is a Greek word, okay? Parable consists of two words. Just like the word paradox, it has the word para in there, para, which means alongside in this case, plus bole, which throwing, casting, beam, ray, related to baleen, to throw. Comes from the word baleen, to throw. Okay.
So now I'm going to show you why you're a novice researcher, and I'm going to use the same online etymology dictionary that you used and that I have always used. So let's kick things up a notch and get to a higher level of understanding, or should I say, let's get to the real root meaning of the origin of the word. So parable does come from the para, meaning beside, and the bole, and the balin or the baline, which means to throw. But now we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes and the real etymology of these very words. You'll notice that in both of the words, the triliteral root is bol or bal, which means the bull. You see, the balin is a two-syllable word, bal, and the lin or the line. So the lien is a suffix known as a diminutive suffix, a part of grammar denoting smallness or affection, like small, tiny, or little, like the suffix let in the word droplet, which comes from the word drop. So the line suffix, like Julia, would then be Julia lean. And the root word is the bol or the ball. And yes, it's exactly like a ball that you throw, which I'm going to get back to shortly. So a bole can also mean a pigment or a dye, which is a color of reddish brown, which is a common color for a tree trunk, as well as a common color for the cattle, the cow, or the bull, which is also known as a red heifer, which is actually a shade of brown, or bole. And you'll also notice that a bole actually means the trunk of a tree, which is related to a torso, which of course comes from the Taurus bull. So the trunk or the torso or the bole comes from the Indo-European root of behel, which is the Germanic bull. And you'll notice it shows the word bulk, as in the bulky bull. And the bahel means to blow, inflate, or swell. And notice it says si bole. And of course, the belly inflates and swells up, thus the belly of the beast, which is Baal, the bull, also known as the Moloch. The ancient Druidic order would hold sacred rituals by the sacred tree, and they would sacrifice two white bulls. And we find the bull sacrifice and the sacred tree in ancient Greece, and the ritual of the bullmen and the sacred tree from ancient Assyria. And then we have the Sumerian Inanna with her bull horns and the sacred tree. And then we have the Semitic goddess Asherah, who is the consort to the bull god El. Thus we have the Asherah pole, which was the symbol of the sacred tree, the tree of life. The sacred tree represented the annual season of fertility. The axis or the axis mundi is represented by a tree, representing the polar aspects of the world or the universe. Thus we have the axis of the earth, the north and south poles. Thus we have the omphalos, which is the navel of the world, like a rock or the tree structure that represents the center or the phallus of the world. And even today, you can still find the relationship between the bull and the sacred tree, because the tree is a sacred symbol of fertility and, of course, the phallus, which is the trunk or the bole. And the fertility of the sacred tree gave rise to what's known as the maypole or the may tree, because it is representative of the phallus penis. Now, the sun is a symbol of fertility, and obviously, the sun light makes the trees grow. And this is exactly why they have the ritual of Beltane, which is the fertility of the fire of the sun, on May Day, the fertility penis pole day, the first day of summer. And the obelisk is the fertility of the sun god, and Osiris, the bull god. The obelisk is also known as a sundial or the sundial. And as I have stated many times in the past, the Washington Monument or the obelisk is actually the bull penis. It is the letter L, which is the straight line, thus the phallic representation of the tree or the pole of the bull penis. And by the way, the fertility ritual of Beltane, the fire of the sun or the horned god, on May Day, the first day of summer, is the month, of course, of Taurus the bull. And by the way, Taurus is the second house or the bi-bull. The ox is also the second house of the Chinese zodiac, which of course is the Bible as well. And of course, the Bible has the fertility story with the sacred tree and the serpent. Notice the bull god Baal with his sacred fire holding the serpent. And then we have the alchemical symbol of the serpent Ouroboros and the sacred tree. Thus the ancient Egyptians represented the sun with the serpent or the cobra. And of course he's holding the phallic staff of the was, which is the dried bull penis. And by the way, at the end of the year during Christmas time, when the Son of God goes to the underworld, the sun figuratively dies. Thus, when the time of the pole is at the north, we celebrate Christmas time, which is the death of the year, and we celebrate it with the Christmas tree. And we wrap the garland around the tree like the serpent. And this is exactly why we adorn our trees with lights, to signify the light of the world going out. And we light our lights so that the Son of God returns. Because Ray gives us our light rays, or our light beams. In fact, this is why the sun gives us its white light, which is the meaning and the etymology of the word Bel, which means the light of white. This is why the Celtic Bel or Belinus means the shining one, the white light, like pale. Okay, it is the white light of the sun god, the bright one. So now you'll understand the etymology of bole and balian and why it means to throw or cast or beam and ray. And that's exactly why these words stem from the root foundation of the Indo-European bahel, which gives us our root meaning of words like to shine, flash, burn, white, beluga, as in the white whale, and words like blonde, blue, and blind even. So this is why we have the Celtic bell, the Gaulish belinos, and the Irish beltane, and the Greek phalaros, as well as the Semitic Baal. And this is exactly why when you look up the word Beltane etymology, you'll find that it says the Indo-European root is Bahel. Bel or Baal is the Lord or Master, the Greek Belos, the Latin Belus. Bel is the East Semitic cognate to the Northwest Semitic Baal. Thus we have Bel Marduk, who was the chief or lord of the gods of Babylon. So you see, Bel or Baal or Baal was the son of El, the bull god, which is why Baal is related to the bull. So you see how Baal and Satan or the devil is related to the bull. And here's Baal or Baal with his sacred tree. You see, Baal is the storm god. And of course, he is the Son of God, El. The Son of God who becomes the God of thunder and lightning. And like I said, Baal was associated with the horned bull god. Exactly as Thor, who is the son of God, Odin, he becomes the god of thunder and lightning. And this is exactly why they show you his horns and the wings, like the winged bull. And then we have the bull god Zeus, who of course is the son of God, Saturn or Cronus. And once again, we have the Son of God who becomes the storm god, the god of thunder and lightning. And this is why the storm god Zeus sends the great flood. And then we have Enlil from Sumeria, the god of the storm god who wears the bull horns, Enlil. And of course, Enlil is the son of the great god Anu, the bull god. And this is exactly why Enlil also sends the great flood. Then in the Bible, we have the story of the Son of God, who is of course related to the horned bull. And once again, we have the storm god. And of course, he is once again the storm god, the Lord or the God of thunder, lightning, water, rain, and the wind. And of course, once again, we have the story of the Great Flood. And you'll notice that when they depict the image of Baal or Baal, they'll show him with his right arm raised and his left arm lowered, exactly like Zeus, and of course the god Thor. And would you know it, they also show Jesus in the exact same position. And Baal is showing as above, so below, exactly like the horned Baphomet. Baal was the sun god, the god of the season, the resurrection god, celebrated annually his death and resurrection as part of the Canaanite fertility rituals that included human blood sacrifice. He was the essence of the fertility of nature, where the sun goes to the underworld during the year and then is reborn, which is like our annual season of the sun. Which is the exact same story in the Bible of Jesus and his life on earth, which is from the baby to the adult, and then he gets sacrificed and goes to the underworld, and then returns and is resurrected. And of course, the ancient symbol of Baal was the ancient symbol of the cross, exactly like the cross of Jesus and the Bible. And so, like I said, Bel means the white light, which is exactly why the obelisk is white and it stands for the sun god, Baal. And this is exactly why Baal, or the phallic pillar of the bull god El, and Baal stands in front of the white house. And of course, the white light stands for the illumination of the white horns of the bull Luna moon. So during wintertime, when the sun god is in the underworld, we light the lights on our Christmas tree to bring back the fertility of the sun. So perhaps now you will understand why we hang bells on our Christmas tree, which is in relation to the bull god Baal or Bel. You see, Baal or Baal gives us our liberties, which is the bell. This is exactly why you should check out the Illuminati film called The Brotherhood of the Bell. And by the way, when we hang our lights during Christmas time to represent the fertility of the sun god Baal, you'll understand why they're called a bulb. And this is exactly why we hang the fertility balls on our tree. Because the sacred bull is the symbol of fertility. In fact, when we look up the etymology of the word Baal, you'll find the Indo-European root once again of bahel, to blow, inflate, or swell, and then it says si bole. And you'll notice that the true meaning of the word Baal means the testicle. So the ball is from the bull, bahel, and the bole. And of course, the large testicles or the large balls of the bull is an obvious relationship to the fertility of the ball. And this is why when you're having sex, they say you're having a ball or you're balling. And of course, the fertility ball gives us the disco ball, which is why there is a disco ball hanging when people are looking for mates.
Oh, she's beautiful. She's like an angel. Okay, I had nothing to do with that. But, you have to admit it's actually a pretty good song. Naturally.
And that's why when you're a pimp who's got it going on and you get all the ladies, they call you a baller. And of course, this is why we have the ballroom ball dance in the belle dress. So you see, when the old season of the year dies and the new year begins on New Year's Eve, we have a fertility ritual, which is exactly why we have the parties of New Year's Eve, because it is the parting of the old year into the new year, the new fertility giving birth to the new year, which is why we sit and watch the fireworks shoot into the air. And this is exactly why we pull on the pole, which is the phallic shaft that shoots the semen or the seed of life into the cosmos or the universe, the fireworks. So this is why we sprinkle and throw all the confetti around, which resembles the seed of life sprinkling all around us. And on New Year's Eve, when the clock strikes 12 or midnight, the new year begins, and thus we consecrate the new year with a fertility kiss. And this is why there are plenty of fertility balloons floating around. And on New Year's Eve, we get to watch the ball slide down the fertility pole. So yes, a ball comes from the fertility of Baal or Baal. And this is exactly why almost every single sport you can think of involves a ball, as well as the phallic pole. And I have already explained in other videos in detail all about games and sports and the fertility rituals they're all about, like basketball that's played on a court. A court is when you date somebody, you are courting them. And this is exactly why basketball, for example, is full of sexual references, like dribbling and dunking and making a basket, which of course is the fertility ritual of putting the fertility ball through the sacred hole of the goddess. Then you score a basket, the basket with the baby. And this is exactly why you slam the shit out of this backboard when you score. Because when you get home, you also slam the shit out of this backboard and score. Because now you're a baller who's balling. So the baller is the ball line or the bolle, which means to throw. In other words, to cast and hurl, which is why almost every sport involves throwing the phallic sacred ball of fertility, the Baal. And to further prove the fertility of the ball that comes from the bull god Baal, almost every single sport you can think of, from the old to the new, is always made from leather. And of course, leather is the hide or the skin from the bull, the cow, the calf, the cattle. So now you'll know why in the stadium they have what's called the bull's pen. Now, as a matter of fact, when you play the game of pool, which is billiards, you're actually playing the game of the bull, because bill means bull. And that's why we have dollar bills, because a bill is the bull, the dollar bull. And that's exactly why we have the gold bullion coins. And that's why we refer to our cash as a buck. And of course, our cash is also known as doe. So you see, a billboard is really a bull board, which you will find on the boulevard. And that's why we have bulletins. So like I said, billiards is really the bullards. You are playing the game of the bull, which is why you hold the phallic staff of the bull penis. And yes, the bull cue is actually named after the word for tail. And let's look up the word or etymology, tail and penis. And you will find that tail has the penis and penis has the tail. And don't think that I'm bullshitting you, because it is the truth 100%. And you want to look up the word bill in etymology? Go right ahead. And what does it tell you? It says to see the bull. Now let's move on to the fertility of the balloon. And you don't think that balloon also comes from ball? Well, you're wrong 100%, because once again, let's check out the etymology of balloon. Notice the etymology says it comes from a large inflated leather ball. And once again, we see the Indo-European root of bahel, to blow or swell. And of course, it says to see bole. And of course, there are balloons at a birthday party, because a birthday party is celebrating the birth of the annual cycle of the sun on your birthday, which is why you have a party, which is the partine or the separation of the year, which is exactly like the separation of the paradox, the pair, the two. Now, the ball of the bull also gives us our word bowl, which is a bowl that we use as a receptacle to hold fluid or food. And this is no bullshit. Go ahead and look up the etymology of the word bowl, and you'll see it comes from ball and bulla, and then they tell you to see the word bull. And of course, bowls were used to collect the sacrificed bull's blood. And thus, the etymology of bull comes from bahel. Once again, see bole. So we throw the ball in bowling, which is why bowling is named after the bull. So anyway, now you'll understand why a bubble is named after the bull. And of course, the bull has a big bulge, which is named after the bull. And a bold letter is a letter that is been inflated or is swollen up from a regular letter. Thus, the etymology of bold stems from bahel. And the word boulder also comes from the sacred bull that is swollen up. Thus the etymology, once again, of bahel. And of course, the bulky bull is also big and swollen up. Thus the same etymology of bahel. And once again, it says to see bole. And cattle, bulls and cows, eat hay. And hay is put into a bale, and the root word is bal. And again, we look at the etymology, and once again we find the bole, the bahel, to blow or swell. And the word phallus, or the phallos, which is the penis, also comes from the word from the bull. Thus, it says to look up bole and the Indo-European root of bahel. Now let's look up the etymology of the very word bull. Isn't that interesting? It has the exact same etymology as parable. Thus it says to look up bole and the Indo-European root of bahel. So the bull has the exact same etymology as the word parable. Thus parable is the para plus the bull, the bole, the balin. And when we look at the word symbol, I have always said that it means the actual bull. Thus, the etymology reflects the same exact meaning, which is the bole. Thus, symbol means the bull. And that's exactly why the etymology shows you the bole as well as the balin, or the balian, or the baline. Now, when you look up the etymology for Balian or Baline, you'll notice that it says to look up ballistics. It's related to the word ballistics. And when we look at a cannon or a gun barrel, it's not hard at all to realize and see the phallic fertility aspect of the cannon shooting out. So now you'll understand why a gun shoots out a bullet. And bullets are made from lead. And lead is the metal of Saturn. And by the way, if you don't believe me, look up the etymology of the word bullet. And it tells you that it comes from the Latin bulla. And then it tells you to see bull. And this is exactly why you shoot a gun for the target, which of course is the bull's eye. And of course, the bullseye is also the sacred symbol of the ancient sun symbol. And of course, it represents the fertility. Thus, it also represents Saturn. So the bullseye holds the secret symbolism of the male and the female uniting as one, the symbol of sex. So the red bullseye is the red target. And of course, tar comes from the Taurus bull. Thus, the target symbol represents both Saturn and the red sun. So now you know why Target has the red ball, which represents the red bull. And by the way, the constellation of Taurus the bull has what's known as the red eye.